saw a lot of NFL coaches either get fired or quit or just simply move along. So next year's going to look a lot different. I think we got like 7 or 8 teams with vacancies.
So far.
Belichick, they agreed to part ways, which is kind of a nice way of saying, it's just a nice way of saying it for all that Belichick's done, right? But, we all know he pretty much got fired for having a 4-win team there.
Mm-hmm.
But not just Belichick. A lot of guys left. Pete Carroll, they said thanks, but no thanks. I know he wanted to come back next year. Seattle's going in a different direction. Of course, there's no secret what happened with the Chargers. They've been saying fire that coach since like week 4 or 5. So that's an opening. Harbaugh's getting a lot of traction to go there. Anyways, I guess we're going to toss around some of the coaching candidates and teams that have vacancies and see what's the best fit.
Yeah.
Let's start with Seattle, Steven. What do you think there?
Seattle's a tough one.
Carroll's been there a long time, hasn't he?
He's been there a long time. I honestly think that they kept him just because they want, I think...
The fan base, maybe?
Not for the fan base. I think for some of the players. I think some of the players do like him.
Yeah. He seems to be like a player's coach, right?
So I think just to have him in the organization will help him out there. Honestly, I think it's depending on what they're going to do in the draft, to be honest with you, or what they want to do with the coach. And by that saying, it's like you have some stars on offense and receiver and running back. Your defense is okay, but I don't think you have any stars on there. So if you want to kind of go more offensively and draft maybe your quarterback. It's a very heavy quarterback this year, or maybe
heavy quarterback draft. That's true.
Or you can be happy with Geno Smith, and maybe you want to take that defensive route. The offense looks all right. I think, if I'm Seattle, I'd probably pick a defensive coach. Maybe try to go in the draft defensively. Look for a pass rusher.
Some young lions on that front line.
Maybe a good cornerback to help out with that defense. But, for me, I don't have any names, but I think defensively, that you definitely want to go a defensive head coach.
I'm not mad at that at all. I think Geno's a more than capable, adequate quarterback and gets you 9 or 10 wins. And they do have a good offense. I just think it was time to go in a different direction with Coach Carroll. I think his coaching style's a little old school, probably ran its course, and him being up over 70, probably just ready for a change. Still had a fairly good season. But I'm not sure who you could get to replace there. Maybe some new blood. Like you said, Steve, it wouldn't be too bad to take a look on the defensive side of the ball and draft some defensive talent, maybe a top pass rusher. I hear what you're saying about corner, but, over the years, taking a high draft pick at corner, I'm not really a big fan of. I think the most important positions are quarterback and rushing the quarterback. Therefore, I would go with more of a pass rusher. Hey, Bobby Wagner, I know he's 33, 34, but he still led the NFL in tackles, believe it or not. So maybe I don't go for a top linebacker. But I'm not sure who they're going to get to coach that team, but it'll be interesting to see who they pick.
Definitely. Moving on, I think this is... I think there's like 3 or 4 teams.
All right.
Like it's a kind of not a dream job, but I think it's a job that you're stepping into.
Yeah.
Where you don't have to do so much work, and that's where the Los Angeles Chargers. You have your quarterback, you have your offense, you have
a nice roster.
You have Khalil Mack back there, you have your defense. I think you're going to look for a coach that has some credibility, is going to kind of some leadership, I think. And to be honest, the 2 coaches I see with this is just my perspective, and they're out there, is either Harbaugh or Belichick. The problem with Belichick, I know he wants full control, and sometimes he doesn't agree with what's there. So I don't know if he would actually have a fit there in the Chargers. That's why I'm kind of going with Harbaugh. I think he likes Justin Herbert. I think he likes that per se challenge, and making people wrong about Herbert, making him that guy and stuff. And I think for him, I think with Harbaugh, he likes things that there's some tweaks you have to make, but he kind of wants that that team there. And I think it would be an interesting fit for him to be over there in LA with the Chargers.
I hear you, Steven. Yeah, Harbaugh, he's a good. He just won with Michigan, and he deserves to have a team that he doesn't have to just rebuild, just kind of go in there, implement his style, and really get a new ear for the players to hear, somebody to believe in them. Harbaugh, he was a former Niner coach, so he's a West Coast guy, coached Stanford. I think he would fit wonderful here. As you mentioned, Justin Herbert, a good young quarterback. So this could be just the change they need. They still have a pretty talented roster. Need to make a few tweaks here and there, but most of all, a new ear to listen to, somebody to believe in, and really, get this underachieving roster at least up to their level of potential.
Mm-hmm.
So Harbaugh, excuse me, I don't know why I'm so say his name. Jim Harbaugh does sound like a good candidate for that Chargers job. I think Belichick's more of an East Coast guy, and I just don't think he would be as good of a fit over there. So I'm going to agree with you. Jim Harbaugh just wanted Michigan. I'd ride that off into the sunset. And who doesn't? Let's face it, who doesn't want to coach in LA? That beautiful SoFi Stadium there in Inglewood.
Exactly. Moving along.
Your team,
Washington.
Yeah,
Commanders.
it's on the same wavelength. See that?
I thought this would be an interesting coach for Seattle, but I don't want him because I kind of want him for my team. I think his name is Raheem Morris, the defensive coordinator for
Tampa, right?
No,
I'm sorry, the Rams.
The Rams.
Right.
I like him. I like the defensive coach. We have Eric Bieniemy as our offensive coordinator. I think that this would be a nice fit. I think he's earned his head coaching spot. I think he had the interim coach at for the Falcons, I believe.
He was the interim coach?
I think he was.
When they got rid of Smith, was it over there?
I think so, or somebody. But I like him as a coach. I think he's a great leader. I think he could definitely help our defense. We put a lot of picks and money into our defense to help us out. So that's right.
Stephen, what about the OC? I'm sorry to cut you off. What about the OC that's already there, the enemy? You don't think they're going to promote him to head coach, or he's a valuable candidate?
They might. I don't know. They could. I wouldn't be surprised.
Right. The rumor around the league's been they've been a little bit reluctant to hire him as a head coach because of the way he talks to the guys, I guess. Not for everybody. It's kind of been the word.
Exactly.
On record, off record.
You heard Shady say that stuff. But
heard Ryan Clark mention that.
But you hear a lot of the other guys who love him. So it's just, I don't know.
Right.
It's a very touchy situation. That's why it's like, he made, I think with that one, they would kind of talk to the players about. That's what I'm kind of going more is where, like,
right.
I think you would gain the locker room. You would gain everyone there. So that's just my perspective on it. And that's kind of what I wanted to head coach.
Don't the Commanders have the number 2 pick this year?
They do. Hopefully we don't take Mayer. He sucks. No, I'm just kidding. He doesn't suck, but I just don't think he's,
I just say that because whoever takes that Washington job, it'd be nice to have a quarterback. I'm not ready to say Sam Howell's not the guy, but definitely a work in progress.
And I just have nightmares of the last North Carolina quarterback.
Right. I know what you're talking about, Drake May. I know they're trying to force feed us Drake May, but I don't see it.
Yeah, there's a lot of other
and even
quarterbacks.
round 1 pick, really.
Yeah. So
we'll see what happens with Washington. Tennessee, this was kind of a surprise fire. I thought
very much so.
I thought Mike Vrabel was a good coach, a player's coach, and being there kind of have a quarterback carousel there. They tried Tannehill a little while, Will Levis, never even gave Malik Willis a chance really. So I was kind of surprised. Derrick Henry still a good running back, but a little past his prime. You didn't want to sign A.J. Brown. You did pick up DeAndre Hopkins, who's always productive. But still, I thought, Tennessee kind of shot themselves in the foot with not re-signing Brown, and you got to live with your decisions. But it appears that Mike Vrabel's scapegoat here, Stephen. I don't know. Surprised to see him go, but who replaces him is a question.
Yeah, that's definitely my whole thing. And just the way they kind of treated him and just treated the players, like there's always like scapegoat of why they aren't successful, why they aren't this or aren't that. I don't really know. I think you need some new, fresh meat in there, a young coach, because you're going to have to do some, some winning and dealing, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
Like you're going to have to find, you don't know if Will Levis is your quarterback, your defense is pretty good, but there's just a lot of work to be done on both sides of the ball. And so you're going to probably need a young coach to come in and kind of want that job, kind of want to fix the Tennessee Titans. Who's the Houston's coach again? I'm so sorry.
DeMeco Ryan.
Someone who wanted to come in there. I think is a former player there.
Sure.
Just kind of wants that opportunity and to have that desire. That's the kind of coach you got to get. But to be honest with you, I think the way they've done business, I'm not a big fan of.
I was just gonna say that. I mean, they've been making some head scratching moves back when Toyota was the guy. So having different coordinators and whatnot. Surprised they let Vrabel go. We'll see who can step in there, and if they do, it's not gonna be a quick fix.
It's not.
Yeah,
It's
we'll
not.
see if they can turn it around. An even more challenging job, I think, Steven, is Atlanta Falcons. They also have a coaching vacancy.
They do.
Who do you see sitting over there and getting
Bill
that team
Belichick.
to go in the right direction?
Bill Belichick.
Bill Belichick, huh?
I think he has a lot of tools there. I think the defense is, needs some work, but I think that's what he likes to do. Offensively, you have some some pieces there with Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan. I think you're always looking for your quarterback, but I think for Bill, he kind of likes that. He kind of wants to, he has his players there, but
Do have some pieces to work with in Atlanta.
I think it's kind of a building thing for him. I think, it's a place where he could have the power to do it. I don't know if the fans of Atlanta would be happy to have Bill Belichick because he's,
Especially after that Super Bowl, right?
yeah, when you think of Atlanta and
Still a little sore.
how they are, and then you're having someone like Bill Belichick who's just is a different character and stuff.
On to
But I think
Cincinnati. Yeah.
But hey, I mean, it is what it is, and I think that'd be a good fit for him, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Carolina, there's also a position open there. They fired Frank Wright,
Yeah.
Frank Wright, yep. And he was the guy that was, some people say he didn't really want Bryce Young. He was a C.J. Stroud fan. Nonetheless, he is gone. They didn't win very many games this year. And that coaching job is open as well. Who do they go after there in Carolina?
Nick Saban.
Saban.
You go after Nick Saban. I think this would be a great fit for him. He just left Alabama. For one, he recruited Bryce Young out there in Alabama. He played with him. It was like 4 years he stayed at Alabama.
Won a championship with him.
You look at his first run with the Dolphins. I mean, he has some success, but you look at the quarterback that he wanted a Drew Brees type of quarterback, but he just didn't pass the physical, so they picked Dante Culpepper. We all know how that worked out.
Whew.
But I think for him, having someone